meeting of January 7th to order. Roll call, please.
Alderman Catalano.
Here.
Alderman Jacob.
Here.
Alderman Messina.
Here.
Alderman Sorrentino.
Here.
Alderman Sizmarsky. Alderman E. Wesley.
Here.
Alderman R. Wesley.
Here.
Alderman Woods.
Here.
Mayor Police.
Here, I declare a quorum present. Please stand and join the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Need a motion to approve the city council minutes of December 17th, 2015.
I make that motion.
Alderman Eugene Wesley, motion, and Alderman Jacob, you second.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions or corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do any citizens wish to be heard on matters not listed on the agenda? Did you gentlemen, this would be your time, just state your name and address. And
My name is TJ. I'm the owner of one of the business on Front Street.
TJ Liquors.
Our problem is with the road there. Someone came up with idea turning that Front Street one way, which is hurting all the business there. So when they do something, I think we as business owner or property owners, someone has to ask us or get the opinion from us, not just we decide to do this way and done. So a gentleman there also, he wants business there.
Okay.
Yeah, hi, my name is Sandy. I have a flower shop. And I find out one day somebody just decided to come in the middle of the road and put a sign, do not enter. So we don't have a sign with the name on the street, but we have a sign, do not enter. So if you go on any street and put a sign in the middle of the road, do not enter, so people coming in and make a U-turn. So I don't know what's the reason the sign says do not enter. For the safety, I don't think so. So when the people coming in, they have to come back.
Mr. Murness.
I think Chief Vesta, you were kind of involved in the logistics and the flow there, so if you can maybe talk to the owners and answer any questions offline.
Do any other citizens wish to address the council? I do have one written communique. It's from the Bensonville Wooddale Food Pantry, just sending us a thank you letter for the $500 check toward the truck fund.
Okay.
Next, the mayor's report. We have Bright Oaks Memory Care presentation. Mr. Cage, are you going to take the lead, or are you going to let Mr. Camelli? How do you want to?
I know Mr. Camelli has a presentation. We're still working on the technical side of things, so if we could push it a little bit later in the meeting, that would be great. I know they're working on it right now.
Okay, you're working on it?
Yes.
Okay,
You just table
with that.
it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Murmas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple items. The first one, I know one of the council initiatives was to have some better information for seniors on the Wooddale website. We are developing that now. It is up and running, and we're making some improvements to that as well. Has some helpful links to seniors and good information on there. That is www.wooddale.com/residents/senior information, if anybody's interested.
Are we also checking with the township? I know they have a lot of programs and whatnot, so we have a link or something?
That's one of the links that's on there. Second item, reminder, CIP discussions start next week for all the residents at home who are interested in how we plan out our infrastructure projects every year. January 14th would be a great meeting to come to. Council got their electronic copies of the CIP last week via email, and then you should have your hard copies in front of you tonight. If you have any questions on the CIP in the interim, give me or Brad a call. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. We have nothing on the consent agenda, committee chairman reports, planning and zoning, Alderman Catalano.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Public health and safety, Alderman Wesley.
I have one report. A resolution seeking approval of agreement between the City of Wooddale and the County of DePage County on behalf of Emergency Telephone System Board. That will be my motion.
Do I have a
Second.
Okay, Alderman Woods, second. Any questions on that? Do you have your hand up, Peter? Alderman Jacob, go ahead.
Just one question. We are getting the full 200,000 back?
Yes.
Okay, that's it.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Alderman Catalano,
Yes.
Alderman Jacob,
Yes.
Alderman Messina,
Yes.
Alderman Sorrentino,
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley,
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley,
Yes.
Alderman Woods.
Yes.
And that passes.
No report.
Thank you. Public Works, Alderman Woods.
I have one report, Mayor. Approval of partial payment request number 3 to Maritime Construction for the Ward 2 Phase 2 project in an amount not to exceed $724,813.61. That is my motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions on that? Roll call, please.
Alderman Catalano,
Yes.
Alderman Jacob,
Yes.
Alderman Messina,
Yes.
Alderman Sorrentino,
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley,
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley,
Yes.
Alderman Woods.
Yes,
And that passes.
that is the end of my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Finance and Administration, Alderman Jacob.
I'd like to make a motion for a resolution adopting the strategic plan for the city of Wooddale for fiscal year 2017 through fiscal year 2018. That is my motion.
Second.
Okay, Alderman Jacob.
Second.
Alderman Catalano. Alderman Catalano.
Got it.
Any questions on that? Roll call.
Alderman Catalano,
Yes.
Alderman Jacob,
Yes.
Alderman Messina,
Yes.
Alderman Sorrentino,
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley,
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley,
Yes.
Alderman Woods.
Yes.
And that passes. That concludes your report.
That concludes my report.
Under other business, we'll start with the airport noise
No report?
and stormwater, Alderman Jacob.
No report?
Okay, and do we have any other items for other business? I believe I
Yes,
heard we
I-
have one, Alderman Jacob. Go ahead.
I'd like to place on the agenda for the 21st, a motion to donate $500 to Mark 9 Medical Assistance for the retired canines. That's for the retired police dogs, including Leica. That is my motion.
That's, well, we don't need a
Or my-
motion. Direction. That's not a motion. It's to put on the committee. Council meeting for the
Council
21st.
meeting or committee? Got to go to committee first?
Hey, Mr. Murmas.
No, it's just like the donations we did recently for the water rats. We just request the donation to be put on the next council agenda, and then you can talk about it at the council agenda.
In that case,
Alderman Roy Wesley, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to throw that back to committee then. Go ahead,
You,
Ms.
go ahead, Ms. Dixon.
Well, the appropriate time to put that as a committee item then would be when it officially comes before the council. Right now, the action is to have it go to the council. And then when it's on the council, if you wanted to go to the committee, unless you want to just bypass that.
So we still need direction. I haven't heard from all of us at the council meeting.
As to whether it should even go on the council.
Okay, well, we need some type of consensus then. Alderman Sorrentino?
Consensus as far as putting
To
it
put it on
on?
the 21st.
Yes.
Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Catalano?
And this is a one-time payment, right?
Well,
Yes.
there's no discussion.
Okay,
Right
yes.
now, it's an item to be discussed.
Yes.
No one-time, nothing. Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Alderman Jacob, Alderman Eugene Wesley.
I have a legal question first.
Go ahead.
My question here, so the new thing is that if someone wants to put it on, write to council for a donation without going to committee, not knowing that this is involving employee. Yes, it is. It's involving a canine dog. Used to be employee, and the officer is the one that's going to get the payment, so
No,
it should
no,
go.
no, That's not true. Mr. Murmas,
Now we're debating it.
This is nothing new. You've
Continue
never
with the
taken,
yeses.
you've never taken donations to committees, so that's nothing new, and this is a donation to an organization, not an individual.
right. That's,
Then
no,
leave.
no, there was no name. It was.
There was. He mentioned
He
donation.
just,
Donation to the
he just said that,
charitable organization.
that Canine Leica would be a part of, that's all.
Oh, that,
That's what I'm saying. So you're mentioning the name. The point is, I don't know anything about this organization.
well, that'll be discussed on it. That's why it's going,
It should go committee. That's the
So is
way
that a yes or a no?
so you're a no?
Mine's a no.
Okay. Roy, Alderman Roy Wesley, I'm sorry.
Abstain.
One abstention. Well, it's not even a vote. And Alderman Woods.
Yes.
Okay, so it'll go to the council on the 21st for a discussion. Okay. Mr. Cage, are we ready to go? Perfect. We're at list of bills, but we'll take you first. Oh, Mr. Murmas,
Well,
I'm sorry.
the one thing too, if we can't get that up, because Nick is not here tonight, we're having a little bit of trouble, but we printed some hard copies for everybody.
Vote it down at the council.
Who's taking the lead, Mr. Cage or Mr. Kameli? Could, Mr. Kameli, could we have the spelling of your name again for the clerk, please? By the microphone.
By the microphone, please.
Nader, N-A-D-E-R, Kameli, K-A-M-E-L-I.
That's right.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Just as a brief introduction, I know the city council will remember Mr. Kameli from a number of months ago. He came to give us an update on the Bright Oaks Memory Care project. The idea of asking him to come to this meeting was to continue that update as the building progresses and moves forward. I know you all have seen the construction of the building, it moving along, and I know there were some questions, very specific questions about the business, potential employees, et cetera, and that's why Mr. Kameli's here. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me back. Last time I was before you, we talked about the project and I showed you a picture of what the building would be. This time, you actually have seen the building. It's up. And the picture that I have is the actual picture of the building itself. So what I had planned to do was to give you an update on where we are with the construction and subsequent business, and give you update on that, and then show you some pictures of the building, and there were some questions and concerns that I wanted to address. So in terms of the status of the project, it is, I guess we're getting the presentation up, which would be great. There must be a clicker somewhere.
Oh, it's Wooddale. It's nice.
It's a new downtown with it.
Thorndale corridor.
So this is what I showed you last time I was here, and I gave you a brief about what the building was supposed to have and you were supposed to look at the picture and imagine what would be there. I'm here to report progress, and what has happened so far is, as you can imagine, all the engineering work has been done. Last time I was here with you, I shared with you the fact that the location of this building is in earthquake zone, so we had to build it subject to earthquake requirements and code, which basically makes this building similar to a high-rise that they built downtown. Currently, there are 700 piers under this building that each one of them goes down 35 feet into the ground. So if anything in Wooddale moves, this building is not moving from its location. Foundation has been completed. The shell, which is all based on precast construction, has been manufactured in factory and brought here piece by piece and has been assembled, and it's all done. We are in the process of completing the outside of the building to protect it from the elements. The roof has been completed. We are putting the windows in as the manufacturer delivers the windows to us. They are behind in their manufacturing because of high demand. Roof has been completed and it's all in place, and underground detention, which was a big job for us, has been completed. This is what the building looks like right now, and if any of you have driven up on that road, it's hard to miss it. And as you can see in here, the windows are going in, and from someone, there was questions about the holes that are under the windows, and those are typically PTACs, which are heating units, and they go in the building. And I'm assuming that the question was about how the building would look after those are in, and so I brought some pictures to show you of other buildings that we have completed. So as you can see, even inside of the building, we have completed the inside framing, and currently basement is being worked on with all the main plumbing that has to go in the ground so that we can pour the foundation of the basement. And then once all the master plumbing and master electrical is in place, then we would run it throughout the building. Our goal is to zip up the building so that we can heat it inside and work during the winter. Until the doors and windows are in, it's very difficult to work in cold and rain. So this is another project that we have that's about completion. It's going to be complete by end of this year. This is in Aurora. And as you can see in this picture, under some of these windows, you can see what a PTAC is going to look like. So we have one here, here, so from
heating coils.
So
Could you repeat that, P what?
PTAC. PTAC is a self-contained heating unit. So if you have gone to hotels usually have heating units that are specific to that room, and you have your own control. Every unit in the building has its own heating system so that they can adjust it to their pleasure. Yes?
So in essence, it's like a hotel.
Hold on, Alderman Messina.
I'm sorry. So in essence, it's like a hotel room today?
Right. So exactly. So each hotel room is designed so that you can heat it to your pleasure. We've done the same thing. Every unit, every apartment, and actually every room in every unit has its own heating unit. So you can customize it to your liking.
Do you have a follow-up?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Alderman Messina.
Was there a reason you guys went with that model versus just doing like a central heating without the hideous?
Mr. Camilli?
Good question. So I personally like the central heating system. The problem with central heating system is, first of all, the back of the building and the front of the building have two different heating requirements because of the back getting sun, front doesn't. So you typically have to split and put two different systems in. And then when you do that, having specific control in each room becomes extremely expensive and difficult, simply because in order for you to run a central system throughout the building, first of all, you have to go floor by floor. Right. And when you go floor by floor, you have to have ducts that are so large that would allow you to push that air throughout the system, throughout the building. That building is 320 feet from one end to the other. So if you come down the middle, it's 160 feet that you have to push the air. It's very difficult to engineer it so that at the end, they don't freeze while close to the main duct they're cooking. So it's an engineering problem, and we tried. We tried as much as possible to try to do that. It just didn't work. And we had HVAC engineering groups, our own structural engineering group. They all tried to do it. It just doesn't work. So they pushed me into this position.
Alderman Messina, follow-up? Alderman Catalano, you're next.
Is each individual unit going to have a separate billing for their electrical and heating system?
No.
Mr.
No,
Kamala.
no. So everyone have their own control, but utilities are not separate. This is not an apartment building. This is a community living.
Alderman Catalano, follow-up? No. Alderman Jacob.
Looking at the picture, it does look like it is flush against the building. Is that
Correct.
the case? Okay.
Any other questions? Continue, please.
So I sort of blew this up so you can see exactly what it looks like.
And
So in terms of the timelines of the project, this is what we are looking at. We are planning by February to have the building, the shell all wrapped up. That means having the doors in and windows in so that the inside of the building can be heated. Our current estimate of completion is September of this year, and we have an information center that's right on the corner, and we have already leased that and furnished it. That center is going to start in March, and that center is information center for people that are interested in the building, both in terms of jobs and in terms of residency, to come and see what the building is going to look like, look at the amenities, look at pictures of what the interior is going to look like, and start putting their contracts in and reserve space. Given our timeline, opening timeline, we are going to start hiring in June, and which is typically about 5-6 months before we open the operation. So after the building is complete, we have to go through IDPH approval process, which we have allocated a couple of months for that. We're hoping that we can do it sooner. And then grand opening of the building would be in November of this year. And this, I have to preface that this is all contingent on financing to come through. And I'll touch base on that one. In terms of jobs, the building will open with 28 employees and will peak at 128 employees when it is fully occupied. And that full occupancy is estimated right now to take 2 years. In terms of positions, we have management, administration, nursing staff, activity organizers, dining, housekeeping, maintenance, in addition to contractors and consultants.
Alderman Jacob.
You have a IDHP approval October 2016.
Yes.
Have you ever had any situations where you had problems getting the approval on that?
No. So at this point, we already have the preliminary approval. So this approval is after the building is complete. The way the process works, as soon as the CO is received and the fire safety inspection has been done, we get a temporary occupancy, and we can put up to 2 people in the building. Then we send all the information down to Springfield, and they review it. After they review it, they give us a paper authorization to go. Then after we have about 20% of the building occupied, they come for in-person inspection.
You said Springfield?
Yes.
You sure it's going to be on time with Springfield?
I have no idea. That's a trick question I cannot answer.
Alderman Jacob, do you have a follow-up? I'm sorry.
No.
Any other questions? All right, continue.
So positions are going to be a mix of part-time and full-time, and obviously we're looking for volunteers. As I mentioned to you from the beginning, this building is going to be open to seniors in the community, so all the services that are on the main floor of the building are going to be open for people that can come if they want to volunteer and hang out over there and get to know the residents. They are welcome to do so. If they want to take advantage of the amenities that are in the building, they can get membership and come and use them. In terms of salaries, they're going to be all market rate, and it's going to be evaluated at the time of opening the building. But based on our current projection, the average salary is going to be around $40,000. Obviously, there's a low and there's a high in that range.
Alderman Messina, go ahead, you have a question?
Do you have a number on the actual median average? Because I'm sure you're not making 40,000.
No,
Mr. Camelli.
I don't have a median.
Can you get us a median
I
average?
can, sure.
Okay.
I think something happened with
One
the
more slide.
clicker.
It's the last slide, so.
So the last,
Yeah, we have the pages in front of us.
okay. So the last page that I have is the challenges. And what I wanted to be totally upfront with you is that from the beginning, what I mentioned to you was this project is about 60% financed by us, and we are looking for,
Hold on.
I think this slide needs to be put up somehow,
The challenges?
so the people could see.
yeah. I think what happened was something came up and the control went away from it.
What's the last? There it is. So,
There it is. Okay. So what we have been doing in the past 5-6 months is to start from the project and go out. We looked at banks that are in the immediate vicinity, thinking that, well, this is a project that's in Wooddale. Hopefully, banks that are in Wooddale, they can actually see it. They can kick the tires, and they want to invest in the community, they would come through. That's not the case. So banks are not lending to people that need money. They're looking to lend to people that don't need money. And so we started from local banks and we went to statewide banks. And at this point, the sources that I'm working with are on the West Coast. We are working with them, they are coming through, but it is good to know that, for you to know that economic development cannot happen without money. And if the banks that are in the community are not investing in the community, your chances of growing is very limited. And this is, I'm speaking from personal experience. This project is a very easy project to finance, given that there is 60% equity into the project.
I thought, my understanding was this was EB funding and it was out of
The money is,
country investors, and it was,
but
and when you, last time you were here, you said it was all set, you guys had all the money.
no, so I
Correct.
didn't. I said we have the capital structure to go and finish the project, and we do.
Oh, okay.
So you never put 100% equity in a project. This always structured with capital and mortgage and debt. And we had planned it from the beginning. It's just typically construction companies or projects like this have 30% equity in it, and they look for 70% debt to come in. In our case, we have 60% equity in there. And so it should be very easy to get 40% in. But we're finding that economy is still struggling, and that's not the case.
Well, you're saying 40% of the building, I think you said was about $30 million, right?
It's $40 million project.
So
yes.
40%'s $16 million.
Yeah.
Okay. Alderman Messina, I'm sorry.
And so, just to understand this correctly, if you can't find that 40%, you have the money in capital reserves to cover that?
No, I
So
don't.
what happens if we,
Go ahead, follow up.
so what happens if you can't find that 40%?
Mr. Camelli.
If we cannot get the 40%, then we have to look for other means of financing. So right now, we're looking for 40% in terms of debt lending to come in, so bank level. As you go up from banks, money becomes more expensive. And you have to pay more interest, you have to pay more fees, and so on. There are means of financing a project, but it becomes burdensome to the project. Obviously, we want to exhaust all avenues to get less expensive money before we approach more expensive.
Do you have a follow-up, Alderman? Alderman Catalano?
How many investors are in the project?
Mr. Camelli?
We have 48 investors in the project.
And can't you go back
Go
to the
ahead.
48 investors and ask for more money?
I am.
Okay.
So the investors in this project are majority from China. And I have actually reached out to them to see maybe there is a Chinese bank that could come in. But all of that have their own challenges. Time becomes the challenge. So if we are going after a Chinese bank that's going to come in, they have to figure out where this project is. We have to actually show them where Wooddale is on the map, and then go from there. They have to come and see it. They have to do their own due diligence and so on. But my hope is that all of these people that have money in this project have the connections and know-how to bring somebody to the table. Those are all being worked on.
Alderman Roy Wesley, go ahead.
You say the investors are from China.
Yes,
All the money that the investors were gonna put into this building is in your hands, right?
yes, they are.
Mr.
So
Camelli?
there's no other money that investors are coming in later on? Okay.
No.
Okay.
So all the money that was supposed to be in the project from the investors are in my hands.
Okay. I have a concern with that since the stock market in China has been,
Go ahead, Mr. Camelli.
You know, I don't know, but I don't think that people who have invested in this project, or actually in all of our projects, would be subject to that downturn. Typically, the money that they put in these kind of projects is not their only money.
Right, but this project goes through the federal government then, so they had to assure a certain amount of money, is that correct, Mr.
Correct.
Camelli?
I want to find out.
Alderman Messina, go ahead.
So just to put some optimism here for us, can you talk a little bit about the other projects that you're doing in the state? And it seems like they're done.
So the one that I showed you in Aurora, that is complete. And 25th of this month, the building is going to be all ready for inspection. We are planning on opening it February 15th, subject to IDPH. So that is all done. This project, Wooddale project, is further along than everybody else. We have another project in Elgin that has the foundation in, and half of the building shell is up, and because of the winter, we have had to stop. We have another project in Fox Lake that also has gone through all the approvals. The foundation has been poured. Before we could get to the slab, the weather turned. So that one is currently being winterized. We're going to wait until April when the weather turns. And these are the only ones that are in construction.
And you're still on time according to your schedule, so.
Correct.
Any other questions?
Mayor.
Alderman Sorrentino.
I'm interested in the revenue that you're going to be taking from the potential residents.
Yes.
How are those terms set up? What sort of monies are you accepting?
Mr. Camelli.
So assisted living and memory care are usually, well, actually, no, let me back up. So there are two types of communities. There are communities that you buy into, and then there are communities that you rent. Our community is a rental model. So there is no contract. There is purely a month-to-month agreement. We don't force anybody to stay. We want them to stay only if they feel good at the place. The rent is all-inclusive, so everything is taken care of. Food, services, nursing care, housekeeping, utilities, everything is part of that monthly payment. The only thing that changes for assisted living is levels of care. So depending on how far along they are in their aging process and how much services they need, that changes. With memory care, that's all inclusive and it's one fixed price.
Mr. Camelli, all this information, for anybody who'll be interested, they'll be at the Walk Information Center once you open, correct?
Correct.
So there'll be
All the details,
all
the
details.
types
for
of
Anybody who's
rooms.
watching, who's looking for a place, I've had some residents ask, when's it gonna open? I need to find a spot for my mom or my dad. They wanna know, so the information center is gonna be the spot to get all the information. You'll have everything you
Absolutely.
need. Okay. Pretty much that completes your presentation, right?
Presentation.
Unless there's any other questions. Alderman Roy Wesley, go ahead.
And Aurora, the one that's completed, how much occupancy permit, I mean, how many units have you sold there?
So
Go ahead, Mr. Camelli.
for the one in Aurora, we currently have 4 contracts and we have 5 other people that are interested in coming.
So
Go ahead.
you have a building that's up, and you have 4 units that are rented.
Correct. So keep in mind, assisted living is need-based. It is
Right.
not, you're not buying a house that you can sit and wait. Usually when you are going into an assisted living, and especially into memory care, you have a need. If my building is not available, you go to the next one.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Alderman Woods, go ahead.
Back to the money portion. So at what point do you run out of money if you don't secure the financing?
Mr.
So
Camelli.
given the money on hand, the
Yeah.
burn rate right now, that's going to take you to
It,
drywall, to,
well, it depends on how the weather cooperates. If the weather continues to be good and we can do work, we can continue for another 3-4 months. If the weather gets cold and we have to stop or slow down, then it will take us longer.
Go ahead, follow.
yeah, so then you, what I'm trying to get to, so within 90 days, 6 months on the outside, you
Yeah.
really need to secure that other
Absolutely.
And that's where,
14. Okay.
and they're working with those banks in
Yes.
California, okay.
One-
Any other questions? Alderman Jacob?
I have 2 questions. Number one, in your past experience, I see you mentioned full occupancy 2 years. Is that typically how long it takes to fully occupy a building like this?
Go ahead, Mr. Camelli.
So the way we come up with the 2-year is for every building, we get an expert group that does market study. And they come back, and based on all the experience in the area, they tell us average what is the move-in rate. And based on that, we put that plan together. I'm hoping to do a lot better than that, but my plans are based on what they had recommended.
Go ahead, follow.
Second question. Originally, I thought there was going to be, some of the units would have individual kitchens in them if they wanted to
Mr.
cook
Camelli.
themselves. However, you had mentioned that the monthly fee includes meals and things, so is it going to be less for those people that want to cook in turn,
Go ahead,
by
Mr.
themselves?
Correct. So the units that have, there are units that have kitchenette, and then there are units that have kitchen. The units that have kitchen are not really that much less, because really those are for couples where one of them has a memory care issue. And so they are going to be under the care of the memory care, but we want to give them autonomy to be in their place, and we give them all the tools. But you really don't want them to be cooking in their unit. When you have 5 restaurants in the building, why would you?
Alderman County, another question?
Yeah, last question. Is this building going to have property tax? Oh, they're exempt.
That's up to you. I love to not have property
Yeah, it's
tax,
gonna
but
have
I
property
think.
tax. It's a business.
It's a business, right.
It's a business.
Well-
It's not a,
Not for profit.
all right,
One more question.
thank you. Oh, you have one
Yeah.
other? Alderman Messina, go ahead.
So I'm not the builder up here, of course. Art would know, but in my opinion, I'm disappointed. Having come from the window industry many, many moons ago, I mean, it's pretty obvious you get ahead of the curve and you order these and you anticipate manufacturers. And from my past, when I've seen companies do that,
Yeah.
it's because they didn't have the funding. So they were like, just send us what we can. When we have the money, we'll send, we'll send you windows, you send us money.
Right.
So you're telling us that it's not, that's not the case, and it is truly manufacturing
No,
delays?
No, so from commercial construction experience also, if you want to do something like that, you pay a premium.
Right.
I'm not paying a premium. So I need to make this building so that people that live here can afford to live in it. If I spend a lot of money and make the window manufacturers and the wood manufacturers rich, the price of the building is going to be so high that average people in the community cannot afford to be in it. So my strategy has been different. I'm willing to wait, and I'm willing to pay a little bit of time, but make sure that the building is priced right for the community, as opposed to be only open to the top 5% because it's not affordable. It should be available to everyone.
Go ahead, Alderman.
So you're not ordering as you go?
We are,
Go ahead,
we
Mr.
are ordering.
Or as the units are completed, are you ordering as you're
No, no, no,
completed?
no.
Or are
No.
you ordering bulk one time enough for
It's
all the
all
units?
bulk.
Okay.
So everything, but right now, I need the windows. I order all the windows. I'm not going to order what I need 6 months from now.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next, approval list of bills, January 7th, 2016, $1,034,855. Alderman Jacobs.
I'll make a motion to approve the list of bills for January 7th, 2016 for $1,034,855.94. That is my
Do I have a
motion.
second?
I'll
Need a-
second.
Okay. Sonny. Questions? Do we have any questions? Alderman Roy Wesley, you got your hand up? Back, I can't see these guys.
Granger, 11 fire extinguishers for $400.32.
What page? Granger, who would that be? Mr. York, is that you, one of yours, or? Looking. Brad, do you know whose it is? It's Matt's, okay.
Do we not have any fire extinguishers?
Hold on. Go ahead, Mr. York.
Yes, this was to complete all the new buildings at the treatment plant.
What?
All the new buildings at the treatment plant to make sure that they all had fire extinguishers. Because we had fire extinguishers for all the old buildings, but once we have new buildings and ones that were, need to be replaced anyway, so we got new fire extinguishers for those buildings.
Go ahead, Alderman Wesley.
So, what happened to those ones then?
Mr. York.
Well, there's more space, more buildings now than there used to be.
Okay.
And after a while, they have to be replaced anyways, even the old ones. I'm sure we,
They get tested.
right, but after so many years,
They get recharged.
They-
They don't get
no.
replaced.
we can have the fire chief here, we can even ask.
Go ahead, Andy.
But my understanding was after so many years, even a fire extinguisher has to be replaced. Is that correct? That's correct. Mr. York.
Fire chief says correct.
Okay. One more. I didn't look at the page.
Sorry, chief.
Accident number 407 and 408, one for 1669 and one for 886. And do we
To
know,
Who was that again?
it says accident.
Oh, accident.
And
Chief.
do we know what employees or what was hit?
Go ahead,
We
chief.
don't have that in other departments, so that's why I'm asking. the
We do.
question.
This happened in July during the summer, and we put it in the monthly report then. One of the squads was pulling into a parking spot, and we actually have video of it. The one looked, and as he started to back out, the other one was pulling in, and he started to back out. So it was basically one of these. The two fronts pushed against each other and caused that much damage. They were going no more than 4 or 5 miles an hour. But we do have video of it if you're interested in seeing it.
We do know who did it.
We do, and they were issued, the one that was backing was issued a letter reprimand. Been here for well over 20 years, and that's his second accident in 20-some years.
Thank you for finding out how it happened.
Sure.
Thank you. Anything else? Alderman Eugene Wesley, go ahead.
Mayor, I did have 11 tonight, but I had
You
the
had
answer already.
You had them answered. Thank you, Alderman
job.
Wesley. Thank you, Mr. Wilson, for clearing that up as well. Any other questions? Alderman Messina.
I think it's a question for Brad.
Mr. Wilson.
Want to take it from there? Okay.
No, he's got to come up to the microphone. He can't take it from there.
Speaking of our friends at Granger, I know last month you and I worked pretty diligently on a vendor consolidation in an efforts to reduce the number of vendors, the number of visits, but also save us money on the bottom line. Somebody should maybe answer check number 94 and check number 108. Why are we still going to these other places when we've specifically negotiated better pricing on the same products from Granger? Behavior has to change. So who bought that? Was what department and why?
Mr. Wilson.
Sure. I'll go to 108 first. 108, I mean, we can look at that one. That's the green supplies, and we've been with that company now. Public Works pretty much exclusively uses them.
Okay.
For the
Granger
green
offers that
supplies,
too.
so,
Okay.
Sure. The other one, the Ramrod ones, we're 2 weeks behind on, at least 2 weeks behind on the billing. So this stuff would have been bought in at least December. And we're working with Granger on a prospective basis going forward, so starting in January. So these purchases would have been a month, maybe even back in November, depending on the billing cycle that Ramrod's on.
So these line
Go ahead.
items, sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Are we going to attach actual part numbers to this, or can you do that in your descriptions? Because I want to see part numbers with the descriptions moving forward, so I can actually
I
tie
don't know
those
if we
two.
can we do it on this chart, or you have to ask for it separate, Brad?
I mean, we have a finite number of spaces we can type into, the list of bills.
Right.
I mean, if we want to, so we'll have to be a kind of a balancing act between the actual description of the item and the part number. I mean, for Ramrod, the third one, we bought liners, paper towels, folded towels. I know we can't get all of that plus all the part numbers on that
Okay.
line.
Well, right,
Go ahead.
to this, so for me, this is a waste of taxpayers' money. Those three items specifically, we negotiated better pricing with Granger. So I'm frustrated, I'm not frustrated with you, I'm just frustrated with this. So I'm just hoping that there's a process in place, and if we can, I know we're working on that together, but try to get a reporting on that, so we see that this consolidation is happening and the behavior is changing.
Sure, and like I
Okay,
said,
Mr. Wilson.
as we discussed last time, our main contact was out the latter part of December. These invoices had to be turned in to us before Christmas.
Okay.
So, there's no way that any of this is from January, when the new methodology is going into place, so.
Thank you, you did a great job with the consolidation.
Alderman Jacob?
Can I get a list of what items we've consolidated onto that list?
Sure.
Mr.
Okay,
Wilson.
thank you.
Okay. Alderman Eugene Wesley?
So, my question here up here tonight is, so we have put a list of consolidated companies we are using now? Or not? I'm totally lost here.
Items.
Items, I mean.
Mr. Wilson, you want to
Are we
clarify?
dealing with one company, or I'm totally lost there now.
Go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
Sure, so going through the process of trying to, consolidate some of the purchasing, save the city some money, one of the things that came out was that since the purchasing right now is so scattered, getting, firm data, because you might buy paper towels, just for example, from 3 different places. Well, then you have to track down the invoices from 3 different places, the price points, the quantities, the number of paper towels and the rolls. So the consistency and the per unit cost of each one was a little hard to ascertain. So what we're trying to do is we worked through Granger to get some pricing on some of the more common items that we knew could be, I hate to say winners, but that were definitely going to save us some money, to start purchasing them through them, to consolidate the purchasing of, paper towels, toilet paper, trash can liners through one vendor instead of 3 or 4 vendors. At some point in the future then, probably 6-7 months down the road, maybe even a year, once we've been using one specific vendor for the majority of these recurring items, then we'll be able to go and market the city's utilization and purchasing habits to a broader array of vendors to possibly save more money. So this is definitely a long play, scenario for some very recurring things. And I think Alderman Messina might have a couple of comments as well.
Hold on, Alderman Wesley, go ahead.
And then the follow-up, are we doing that with the office supplies too? Because I'll tell you one thing, that's the other situation here in office supplies. Because I got the police department buying it, I got the administration buying it, I got finance. Are we looking to consolidate all that too? Or are we just concentrating in one area first?
Mr.
Or are we
Wilson.
gonna do it citywide? Because, are we piecemealing this?
Well, by and large, and I say by and large because there's some items we still price check to keep the vendors honest, we only buy office supplies from one vendor now. So while there might be 4 or 5 purchases, supposed to be.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there are a few items that there's other vendors that are better priced due to volume issues. So there might be a number of items from or number of purchases throughout the month, but they're all predominantly through one vendor for office supplies.
Go ahead.
A couple months ago, I was on the last bill, I had a police department use a vendor for office supplies, I had a building department use a different supplier, so office supplies has been scattered all over the place.
Go ahead,
Okay,
Mr. Wilson.
We won't have, we'll take it offline.
Yeah, and I'll look, but that, if that's the
Go ahead,
case. we'll
Alderman
address it,
Messina.
but-
Question?
So just to address Alderman Eugene Wesley's concerns, I think we did talk about office supply being next, but there's so many like niche items, so like parking tickets, only certain vendors can make those. So that was kind of the problem we ran into. So when we tackled this, just because of my prior relationship with Grainger, I knew companies existed that did price points. So I asked them to go out to different vendors, not only Grainger, and say, look, right now we have paper towels that we buy from 5 people. We buy 100 from each of these 5 people. If we came to you and bought all 500 from you, will you give us a price break? And here's what we're paying now. And overall, and I can't wait to see some of the saving numbers, but overall, when we did that, we got some great price points on just fast-moving items. So it's not going to be everything. So there's going to be times where we see stuff come up that's pretty specific to other vendors. But for the most part, paper towels, bifold towels, batteries, all types of batteries, the basic fast-moving items, we consolidated. So hopefully that makes sense.
I got a question. When you say quantities, do you have to buy like a pallet of paper towels or 2 pallets of paper towels? Because, I mean,
Nope.
you can just 5 boxes and go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
Yeah, the quantities comment was, the Grainger pricing might be for 96 packages of paper towels where the Ramrod had 48 versus Miller Industrial that, was a deuce. So
Right,
that's
right.
by the quantity of the.
Right, you did the
box.
math, I understand, but
Can I
the question is, so as the price, say you got the pricing and Grainger's worked out cheaper, how do they, just from dealing with paper products many years ago, they fluctuated quite often, could be, quarter, 50 cents monthly, weekly, every other week. I was getting different bag prices, and the guys were, the film went down, this went up.
So
How is it, do we got a locked-in price? I'm just curious.
Yes.
How long?
1 year.
1 year.
Can I?
And what about, the film goes down, we're still locked into that 1-year price. If the other guy goes down, he's cheaper, we're gonna buy from that one guy still?
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of what we're doing with the office supplies too. Every now and then on certain items,
'Cause
we are price checking against, just to keep them
The
honest. as
reason
we
I'm
go
saying
through.
is, I deal with, film and stuff like that every month. I can tell you, some of my items that I purchased went down $2 to $3 a case because the film went down. How are we watching that?
Can I answer?
Alderman
that?
Messina, go ahead.
Let me answer, just because I ran that program. So it's not a contract. It's a loyalty program. We say, this is what you forecast to do usage-wise. We'll give you this exact bid price. Whether you buy 1 pack of batteries, AA batteries, or you buy 1,000, we don't care, but
No,
you'll
but-
get that price every
but-
time, regardless of quantity.
But that's my thing. Did we say we're gonna get 500 for the year? I'm just using that number. It could be 100, whatever. But I know, just from when I had the business, but even where I work now, some of those were $2 and almost $3 on a couple items because the film went down. I was always under the belief you should have a couple guys to keep people honest. Now, if we save money, that's great. I just, somebody always has to watch what the pricing is.
Every
problem.
year.
Good.
Every year you go back up and you negotiate, and I can tell you, that, if you see something or they catch something, go right back to them and say, this bid price you gave us isn't working, and they'll renegotiate it. It's very loose terms.
But that's what I'm trying to say is, if we're always buying from the one guy, the other guy we don't know, unless we call him to see what his pricing is, he might have gone down that $2 and he's cheaper. That's my only concern. Just for me, it was always a rule of thumb. We always had two guys that, we bought bags every week. When we had, the business I'm in now, I buy them every week also. But they change their prices quarterly. One guy does, the other guy does 6 months. So it's just, it's the market. As long as we're watching the deal, it looks good right now. We're saving, let's say, $500. But by next month, well, we're really not saving $500 more. The other guy was cheaper. That's my only concern.
I would hope, I would ask. Right now,
Right.
we know
No,
we're
no,
going to save, but I'm hoping that they will take that. In many cases, they came to us where, and I hope we're not like this, but we may take it as leverage and go to somebody else and say, haha, look what I'm doing now, because I guarantee you they're going to get phone calls from their old vendors that are saying, why aren't you buying it? And this is going to give us hopefully the leverage to say, sorry, they're charging us this now, we're not buying it from you. So it actually will hopefully play better the following years.
That's why you always have the one main guy, and that's the way I played it. I had
Right.
two, and I'd always throw in a third guy just to keep the other two guys honest.
Right.
No, as long as somebody's watching, I have no problem. Alderman Woods, you were next.
This has come up many times. I'm
Right.
glad Alderman Messina's pushing it. The fact that we get a control of, get a count on the amount of items of each item that we're using is pushing us ahead light years from where we were before, with people running around, one guy buying 100. We don't even know how many we buy, so we don't even know what. So while those things you're saying are legitimate, I think for where we're at, just getting it all, under one roof, so to speak, and getting a handle on it, and then we can start looking at some of the other things.
Right.
And I'm hoping that we will look at it. And I've dealt with Granger for years too, not on a huge quantity, but I know I can, if I buy something and they tell me my price for something is one price, I can go back to them, they'll change it often.
Yep.
So.
Right. Already, do you want to say you had a follow-up on that, or something else?
Mayor, since this is brought up and stay talking about it, I think this should be discussed under a committee meeting in finance and what we want to see them to try to consolidate. I think all our aldermen could get together and say, we want to look at office furniture, we want to look at nuts and bolts consolidated. I think going back and forth, I agree with him on that.
We can discuss it at Finance Committee, or, staff has direction. We've been talking about this for a while.
Right.
Well, we
And
want to know what direction staff's going to go with.
Office supplies, right, do we have one main guy, two guys? How do you guys work it? I know we don't have a specific purchasing agent in this building that just does purchasing,
Sadly, no.
and don't ask for one at budget either. Because I know we're not going to save.
I'll make a motion.
I know we're not going to save that much money on paper towels, but anything's a savings, which is good. I don't know if you guys want to have a discussion on that. I'll tell you what, let the manager know if he gets two or three, or who wants to have the discussion? Show of hands, at least. Okay, we just want a list. So, okay.
Yeah, give 'em
a
a
list.
list.
So we already asked for the list. I think Alderman Jacobs did. So you'll get the list. Okay, Alderman, you have another question? Go ahead.
Yeah, just, kind of like E. Wesley said, he just brought up the office supplies. The only other thing I would say is automotive supplies. To
Right,
look into that.
everything should be looked at. But again, the city does not have a specific purchasing guy who would be in charge of all that or taking care of that. Alderman Messina.
Yeah, so I agree with Alderman E. Wesley, but what I'm recommending is this is the beauty to Art's point, is we have a vendor that can give us usage data, that magic word I keep talking about. We have it, and they can get us a report. So I would agree if we can do a 6-month review or a yearly. I can only speak for Granger. They'll give us the numbers, the quantities. Here's your regular price, here's your bid price. If that'll work for him, we can do it.
Okay, save. Anytime we can save money, it's a good thing for the people. Any other questions? Any other bills, I should say? We're still on the list of bills. Have a motion and a second. Okay, roll call on the bills, please.
Alderman Catalano,
Yes.
Alderman Jacob,
Yes.
Alderman Messina,
Yes.
Alderman Sorrentino,
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley,
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley,
Yes.
Alderman Woods.
Yes.
That passes. And we have no executive session, no items to be referred. You do have a question, Alderman Roy Wesley, go ahead.
The sewer treatment plant. I've asked before if, to do an inspection, like, hiring a company to do like a OSHA inspection, because. I
OSHA
was
inspection?
told- I was told that the building was gonna be OSHA.
Qualified.
Qualified, whatever. Did we ever get that done? And I'd like to see that report.
Mr. Murmas or Mr. York?
And
Is
not by HR Green, by,
Go ahead, Mr. York.
We've got a company that can do that for us. I can schedule
Wait,
it for
you haven't done it yet?
In the next 6 weeks, it'll be done.
Hold on,
So.
hold on,
No, it hasn't been done yet.
wait, hold on. It was, we never really gave, did council give you direction for that? We never did, but, okay, so we can give them direction. Are we giving direction?
We're given direction.
Okay.
We'll get it scheduled.
Mr. Murmas?
Wait a minute, wait till we get that one rail installed, though.
We'll get the rail installed, but.
Okay. Oh, you're waiting for something. Got it.
Okay.
All right. Need a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We're adjourned.
Nice.